a name that has emerged that I think every team in the NFL is going to look at right now and be like, all right, well, if he plays well on Monday, maybe we just go draft Michael Penix. That's Michael Penix. The dude was a monster in the college football playoff. It was the Orange Bowl, right? That's the
Sugar Bowl.
the Sugar Bowl against Texas, a 37-31 win. If you did not stay up until like 2 a.m. to watch that game, go watch it back because it was nuts. He finished the game 29-38, 430 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 188.7 passer rating. Absolutely nuts. This guy was throwing balls on a dime in traffic, almost getting hit. It was crazy. It was the craziest college football quarterback performance I have seen all season. I would put anything on that. I mean, the Steelers need a quarterback. They're going to be looking at quarterbacks. Michael Penix is not a dude that's going early in the draft. Even if he does work his way up, there's a ceiling to how high he could climb just because of the quarterbacks in this draft and his age compared to their age and everything that they're going to bring up in the process of this. I mean, the Steelers are going to sit there in the early to maybe mid-20s. You thinking about Michael Penix? Are you seriously thinking about Michael Penix at this point?
Well, I think it's weird because right now, so I looked at Tankathon before I came on here, and they have him not going until like pick 43 or something.
I remember us talking about that last time though, and it was the same thing. Like they had him much later than everybody anticipated.
Right, and this is a guy, so especially if he plays well on Monday, if he's even remotely good on Monday, he's only going to get better in kind of the off-season workouts. Like when he's just throwing in shorts, he's going to be able to sling a football like 60 yards, and it's going to be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. So I don't expect him to fall at all. Like anything negative that you know about Michael Penix, you already know about it. You already know about it now. Like not a particularly great athlete, although I thought he moved around and manipulated the pocket incredibly well against Texas. He's also a little older. He's 23 years old. He's going to be 24, I think, by draft time. That's pretty old, but I think you worry about that less with a quarterback as compared to like, a running back or receiver or anything. He's the 6th quarterback on these kind of, I feel like on Tankathon, at least they have him ranked as the 6th quarterback, like behind guys like Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy. I don't really see that at all. To kind of bring this full circle, if I'm the Steelers, I absolutely consider it. I'm just a little worried about the positioning because are you going to draft another first-round quarterback? Like, is that might be where Michael Penix ends up? I could absolutely see him climbing up into the first round, late 20s, like early 30s. Like that's entirely possible. So I don't think the Steelers should take him with a first-round pick, even if they're in, if they get the 7th seed, they'd be like the 21st or
22nd, something right like there. Yeah.
And so that seems like a little bit of a reach. I think everyone should draft Michael Penix if you have the chance to, but that might be a little bit high, especially considering they've got a lot of other needs that I think can be a little bit more pressing. But the flip side of that is, man, like I kind of believe Michael Penix can change a franchise. So I'm not really sure, quite honestly.
Let me ask this. If the Pittsburgh Steelers had a quarterback right now, a really, really good quarterback, what's your outlook on him in week 18? Where do you think they are? How far do you think they go?
Like a right really good quarterback?
Yeah.
If you threw I don't know.
A Michael Penix. If you threw Michael Penix on this football team today, where do they sit currently? How far do they go?
Well, they have at least I want to say 2 more wins, right? Like they don't lose that if right now, like we're not assuming that he's been on the team for the entire season, right?
No. He was on the team. He was their starting quarterback in 2023, Michael Penix Jr. Where are they sitting currently in week 18?
Oh, well, I mean, they win at least like 2 more games, right? Like they have a playoff spot, like for the most part, pretty locked up. Like they're just playing for seeding at this point. I would have to imagine like they don't lose that Browns game. I kind of doubt they lose that Jaguars game just because of how they played defense in that game. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
And there are no
chance they lose to Arizona or New England.
Yeah, not a chance. So that's like at least 3 wins, 3 extra wins, maybe 4. And these guys are sitting pretty with a playoff berth already in hand going into week 18. So
competing for the AFC. competing
saying.
for the top seed in the AFC. How far do they go? They're a Super Bowl contender. They're not like the biggest Super Bowl contender, but
right. But in a wide open league, like they're
a much better place than they are right now. Right now, you're talking about who could you beat if you make if you make the postseason? Who are your best options to avoid just the scariest teams? You get a good quarterback on this team. The conversation is which ones of these scariest teams can you beat before you maybe run out of gas? Right. I'm just saying, people bring that up all the time. Well, the Steelers they need a corner and they need a left tackle and they need a wide receiver and they need a safety and they need an inside linebacker. And I agree 100%. You got to get all those things. If the Pittsburgh Steelers today with Myles Jack, Eric Rowe, Michael Walker / Mark Robinson / Blake Martinez / Levi Wallace / James Pierre / Trenton Thompson, playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, they're like a 12-win team. That's what a quarterback does for a franchise. And I think to a degree, like you just, I look at, I'm not a proponent of go get a quarterback in the first round. I'm not going to sit here and like pound the drum and say, this is what the Steelers should do. I just think that there is an argument to have the thought that they should draft a quarterback in the first round. I'm just, you could get a lot of those positions in the second round and the third round. And, nobody's drafting an inside linebacker in the first 2 rounds of an NFL draft. It's just not happening. You're not even thinking about it. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers could get Myles Jack and Cole Holcomb and a Landon Roberts back, you're not thinking about it at all. You're not even considering it. You go get a corner somewhere. You're not giving up on Dan Moore. Dan Moore is walking in as your starting left tackle most likely next season, unless like somebody crazy falls. You need a center, but you get a center in the second round. I just solved a lot of problems there.
Right, you did. I can't believe we thought it was ever that difficult. You should just step in as GM and we can fix this right away.
Mark Hahn and say, hey, look, Andy Weidl's got to go. Noah Strackbein, he's going to be the guy that sits in the back row of the press box moving forward. That's who it is. I just think that there's, and I agree with you, and I agree with everybody else who makes the argument that you should draft other people and go other positions. I'm just saying that there's an argument to be made that a quarterback who changes a franchise is sometimes all you need, especially in a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially in a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team has won with nothing, and you give them something crazy, they could do a lot with it. That's just, especially a cheap option. You get Michael Penix on this team, and then you spend the next 2 years putting the rest of the pieces together. You just got Michael Penix 2 years of evolution, probably making the playoffs, probably competing for a Super Bowl, and then you put the rest of the pieces together. I think it's, I'm still right now, if you had to ask me if you could go into the offseason and pick any quarterback to come play for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year, my option is Justin Fields. But, maybe Mason Rudolph's up there too. Michael Penix might be like a sound 2A, 2B maybe, but he's much higher on that list than he was 3 days ago. Right. 0 chances. So maybe you might get lucky. Would you rather, let's ask this question. This is a good one. Fans won't care about this, but you will. Would you rather cover Michael Penix as a journalist or root for Michael Penix while the Patriots stink for the next 5 years?
Oh, well, I mean, if he's on the Patriots, they're not going to stink. So let's get that out of the way. But
no, they'll be much better.
No, I'd much rather just kind of watch Michael. I'd rather be able to like root for him blindly and support it. I
not know anything about him.
Right. Yeah. I would rather not have to be objective about Michael Penix because there is always the chance that he might stink, and that would pain me. That would pain me personally.
That's true. That is true. That's always the tough part about being there and getting to talk to people and being like, oh man, I like you a lot,
but you stink right now. Yeah,
you're not good. You're not good. Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, I'm going to make the argument. I'm going to start it right now, but we'll focus on week 18. And Mason Rudolph could change my mind this week. I could be a big bring Mason Rudolph back. What are you even thinking about? He's your starting quarterback for cheap in 2024.